Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Aqua Data Studio um, using macOS webinar. I'm your host, Anil Mahadev, and today we'll be walking you through the various methods of navigating the user interface as well as working with Aqua Data Studio on the Mac platform. Couple of housekeeping takes here. At the top right hand corner of your GoToWebinar control panel, you will see a Q&A box where you can type in the questions. And then if you're having any questions after the fact, we will take them. This webinar is going to be less than 20 minutes, so we'll leave some time over for some questions. So without further ado, I just would like to get a show of hands if you're able to see my screen, please. And if you can hear me clearly. Okay, good. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and proceed. First and foremost, Aqua Data Studio is the leading database application administration and developer platform here from IDERA. We pride ourselves in benefiting the end user community by providing both a mixture of database administration, basic data modeling, basic database analysis or business analysis, as it were, for the business technologist. And what we have here is an environment that you can see is on a Mac platform. Now, to showcase today's demonstration, I've done a couple of things. One is I have gone ahead and installed a Docker container, and in order to showcase the databases here at hand. Plus, I've also gone ahead and connected to a Linux operating system to target the database as well. So let me take a look at the questions. Yes, Stacy, the recording will be sent, and we will answer all of this questions here in a bit. Yeah. So here, in terms of leveraging how we can go ahead and start connecting, the very first thing you will do is visit the website and go ahead and download the Mac version and extract it and add it to your applications folder. Next, what we'll do is once we launch it, you will be given an option to go ahead and choose the evaluation. So we can go ahead and choose the evaluation section. And what we'll do is now show you how we can register a bunch of options here. So I noticed one of the first questions was, how do we do the generic ODBC and JDBC? Well, for macOS, there's a JDBC option, and for generic ODBC, I believe there must be a ODBC driver. But most of the clients that we have seen, they usually use bridges where they would actually do a typical ODBC bridge, and some of them are mostly using JDBC. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll be using Microsoft SQL Server. And here I can actually go ahead and register a new connection. And right now I'm using a Docker container and connection to a Linux operating system that contains a list of databases from this. So here you can see if I go into the server properties, I can see what I have been connected to. And if I go ahead and test the connection, I have a successful connection. One of the caveats to doing this will be to actually going ahead and enabling a firewall since macOS does not support native installation of SQL Server. So here in a container, I'm using a Docker container, and here you can see I created a database called ADW container. And here you have all the list of all the system views and tables that you can access. On the left-hand side, as you can see, the UI is just the same. We want to make sure that we provide a unified customer experience for the folks on the Mac platform as well. So here, if you look, if you go to the servers, you will find that you can go and connect to the servers. Here, I'm going ahead and connecting to a Oracle Linux OS, and this gives me all the information about that particular OS, what CPU it's being handling, what's the memories, the disk, and the file system that we're working with. So you have a lot of options here. Next, what we have is, let us explore one of the databases. So here on the left-hand side is your database explorer. And then on the right-hand side is your query analyzer, where you can actually go ahead and write queries. On the right bottom half is you have the result set window, where you can generate result sets to a multitude of areas. So if you happen to be using Windows ADS on Windows, and then you just recently transitioned to a Mac, I'm using macOS Bixer. So that's the one that I've installed, ADS 2022 version, and then that's where you're seeing the demo from today. So here, if I go to explore some of the tables, I will do just exactly as if I would go ahead and do it in Windows. So here, if you choose a query analyzer, and I can open up a new query analyzer, I can even go ahead and do the select the top 1000 rows, execute. And here I can instantiate a new visual analytics workbook, and I can drag and drop some of these rows and columns. And from there, what I can do is I can highlight the customer ID to be in color, and I'll do the phone number in color as well. So that will also give me a little bit of leeway. And plus, with all the other options as well, we can choose different shapes. So here you can see I have different shapes. And you saw that I've broken down the email address, and I can even show a filter. I can filter based on this, or I can even search. So if I do not want all of these, just want to search a couple of these and have them, I can have this here in this way. So again, no loss of functionality or anything. You can do it just as you were doing it before. You can also go ahead and clear the worksheet, and there you go, and start from scratch. Next, what I'm going to be showing you is the ability for you to actually go ahead and look at some of the charting capabilities that you require. So here, look at all of these. You need a series of charting options, and here you can choose whichever you like here based on that. You can even have a 2D or a 3D based chart. You can have all of these here as well. Now, let's say, for example, if you wanted to view the database properties, you can actually go ahead and right click and look at database properties. And this should instantiate the same windows, and it's just going to show you the path where that particular database resides with the MDF and the LDF files. And here you can also go ahead and look at the options of what compatibility level it is, all that good stuff. And here we provide you with a space usage. Again, you can choose however it is and look at all of that. And once that is done, you can also go into any of the tables. You can right click and you can choose alter table. And that's going to go ahead and show you all the different varieties of altering this here as well. Next, let's talk a little bit about how we can go ahead and look at some of the other functionality. So let's go ahead and go to the query builder and click new. So now I'll go ahead and click on connect server, go to my SQL Server here, connect to my LT database. And slowly I can go in here and I can highlight these and just say add to diagram. And now if I wanted to do a join, all I have to do is drag and drop here, select this and highlight it here. And then I can even do a group by. So I can create a SQL expression and I can say group by customer ID or name style. I can do any of those. And I also have the ability to drag and drop views as well. So if I drag and drop the views, here I can choose all of that, and I can just highlight these. And now what I can do is I can copy this, save it, And then if I wanted to, I can just go ahead and execute. If it meets the criteria, it'll work. If not, it'll just give you an empty result set. So that's how easy it is to go ahead and work with the query builder here. Next, what we can do is show you also some of the capabilities within the Intellisense. So here you can just hit a tab or an enter, and then I'll just say A, comma, customer C, where A dot address ID is equal to C dot. If there's a customer ID, I'll just put it there. So you can actually go ahead and do that and get the result set here as well. Next, what you can do is you can actually go ahead and say, if you want to add a expand or collapse for various region, you can do that. So you can collapse this and add this as part of a region. And then here you have the other one as well. So that also makes the beautification of code and the maintenance of code really good and formatting wise. And of course, you do support the comments here as well. And then here you can just go ahead and right click and you can say toggle statement comment like this. So now it's gone ahead and added a statement comment here for you. Now, what makes ADS unique on the Mac platform is the following. One of the things is that here I'm having a connection to a GitHub local repository that I have. So I can technically go ahead and connect this to GitHub. You can also go ahead and have this in the file system. Typically, you can mount the directory as well. And then you can also go into Fluid Shell and go from there. So you can go right here and go to the directory. And this brings us to the Fluid Shell component, which is also there as well. So to put things into perspective, you really are getting the best of both worlds, especially if you're transitioning onto a Mac, to keep your ADS skills in check and also up to date, as well as work with all of the multitude functionality that the Mac platform has to offer. Next, we go under the project section where you can actually go and set up a bunch of Aquascripts. So here again, I just say demo, and then I can actually go ahead and see if I can insert the Aquascript that I'm looking for here. I also have the ability to look at, let's say, if I wanted to automate something. So if I wanted to introduce an insert statement here, I can actually go in there and automate it. I can also go ahead and introduce columns if I'm going into, let's say, here. So if I just come back in the query builder, let's say introduce a select, and there you go. And it goes and does from, and then you can then choose from which table it's going to go ahead and bring you to. So if I do a sales LT dot customer, where customer ID is ABC or something, you can go ahead and add that. Then you can also go ahead and choose what is the execution plan. So let me go ahead and get that here. So let me uncomment this. Here, what I can do is I can actually go into and just say execute explain. And here I have my execution plan that is being displayed here as well. I can also do explain diagram. Now this brings up a really cool diagram interface where you can actually go ahead and leverage this to your advantage. Not a lot of tools have gotten this, and especially from a cross-platform perspective, this is where ADS shines, and that's where you can do a lot of this stuff. Next, what I wanted to show you is our ER modeler. So here, if I wanted to go and right-click on any of the databases, I can go to my tools section, and here I can just choose ER diagram generator. And here I can choose the appropriate schema. So it'll go ahead and bring all of those. And there you go. So here's our schema. And then you can show or hide any of those areas that you do not want to have. And that's it. So you can just have just the entity with the columns, just the basic primary keys, all that good stuff. I can save this. And from here, you can actually go ahead and also go ahead and print it. So you can print it to any of the types that you want. Next, with the ADS on Mac, the other important thing is whenever you're registering a server group or any of that stuff, you can also go ahead and register an SSH server. So for example, here, for example, if I were to get that information from the server, so if I go here and navigate to the Oracle Linux, and then if I say connect, and if I go into open as, let me open it here, it straight away takes me to my Linux environment that I have here. So I could come in here, write my shell scripts, everything. So I can just say, technically, I can just say, if I do echo Howdy from Linux using ADS, I can get all of this here as well. So there's a lot of other functionality that are built into the tool. And then I can always go ahead and make changes. So if I hit exit, the SSH session is now out. The next thing we have is our Fluid Shell, which is within the Mac operating system that you can go ahead and execute other examples. So here if I say macOS using ADS, there you go. All of this is there. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and look at some of the commands, you can just do a / help, and it gives you all of the list of all of these properties that you have. Now, one of the other key options is that you can always go ahead and kickstart your visual analytics there. And you also have the ability to look at some sort of comparison tools here as well. And you can also generate your SSH keys. So if you wanted to generate your public and private key, you can go ahead and do so. And you can also go ahead and save your private key here onto your machine and have that being used for any kind of connectivity that you would like. Let's see now what else. Yes, and of course, just like the Windows counterpart, we do have the ability to go into the storage manager. So let's go into the instance manager about here. So if I wanted to go into this container, I'll click on this. It gives me all the information about the SQL Server container. Now, if I wanted to do the same thing for my Linux MS SQL, I can go into my DBA tools and go to instance manager here too. And here you can see the key differences. So both are of the same because they're both based on the 2019 OS. And then last but not least, you have the ability to go into your DBA tools and look at the storage manager. There we go. And then it gives you this nice, neat graph and grid that you can see how much has been reserved, how much is there, where the data files are located, anything with regard to the objects. You can choose the database here. And then if you want to look at the type and the table, it goes and gets you all of this here as well. So with that, I would like to come to the end of my demonstration. This was just a very brief overview. If you would like more to see examples of this, please do leave a note in the comments and the feedback when you get this webinar recording. We're open to ideas, and we would love to show you more about how we do, all of these wonderful activities in Aqua Data Studio. So with that, let me just go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and then I'll go ahead and take the questions for now. So yes, so what is the best way to connect to a database that's not in the standard list? A lot of functionality is not available via ODBC or JDBC. Well, we do ship with the standard drivers, Robert, and then it does have, it does have the ability to connect to those databases. You just have to get that as well. Now, with regard to the Mac version that works on the M1, I have tried personally evaluating it via the Amazon service. So there I did get it to work, but officially it's still on the roadmap. So if you have an M1 processor today, feel free to download the product and let us know, and one of us will be able to help you out if need be. Do we have any other questions? Any thoughts, feedback? And I believe right now I don't see any more questions, but I would like to, okay, there's one more, hold on. Well, on Monterey, without an M1, again, I have a Bixer, so I have legacy hardware, so that's why Monterey is not being, I cannot install Monterey on my machine. So, but I would suggest, again, to download a trial from the website. And again, I'll give the link in the chat window. So give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and get you all here. So if you go to aquafold.com and click on the start for free, you should be able to go ahead and download it. So here you go. Please feel free to go ahead and visit the website, and we should be happy to help you out in any way possible. So Aaron has another, is that? Okay. I think I've answered. Okay, what is the limitation the JDBC ODBC connection have versus a native with respect to functionality of toolset? Yeah, great question, Robert. One of the key things is we have is with regard to the query builder and with regard to some of the basic or native drivers support that is not possibly available with some of the tool sets. So that's probably the only limitation I can think of. So with that, any other questions? These are all great questions. Okay, I have ADS on M1 and it is very slow, so it would be welcome if a native GRE would be supported. Okay, point taken. We will. I will have this saved and noted with our product manager, and then they should be able to get back to us once we have an update. Okay, so, and what I would like to do is I would like to point you all to our resource center on the Aquafold website. So here, if you go to our chat, I've gone ahead and pasted this to our resource center. You'll find past webinars and any data sheets or information regarding that. So we should be able to give you all that information there. So overall, what do you all think? Can I get a show of hands if you found today's webinar useful? And would you like to see future webinars as well on this topic? Okay, well, I will go ahead and close out the webinar here. Thank you so much for your time today. We hope that you have learned something, and we would love to see you on the next webinar. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.